returning creator with me, Jeremy Adams. Jeremy,
Yay!
yep,
Hey, good to be
doing the
back.
Flash and so much stuff. But before we get into Flash, I
Oh,
just found out about your this Monkey Prince show you've worked on that's over in Asia. Mind
Monkey
telling
Prince.
people
Yeah,
about that
it's called
because
Monkey Kid. It's
Monkey
Lego
Kid,
Monkey.
sorry.
Yeah, Lego Monkey Kid, and they Lego sent me over. They asked me to do kind of a pitch on the toys,
Hmm.
and then they sent me over to Shanghai, and I was part of a documentary. And so I basically, my job was to come up with a bunch of stories for about
Hmm.
3 years and 3 seasons of the show
Hmm.
and put them together. And it was great. It was
Yep.
fun.
Oh, is it done now? Is this the final season
No,
or?
they basically, I guess, basically some other elements within the company said that they wanted to do the writing
Ah,
from the third season on. I mean, after the third season. So they
right.
said, adios to me.
So, in other words, they decided to go internal instead of focusing with you. It's like, you
Well,
got the
they
ball
decided
rolling?
not to go with me. So that's the main
Oh,
thing. It's
that
so
stinks.
sad.
Yeah.
I was pretty attached to the characters, but it was an interesting process, and
Hmm.
it was different writing something for another. Just a different thing for writing for a different company. And Lego Monkey Kid, it's super fun. It's super silly, and
Hmm.
it's interesting because DC, like last year, after I had come out with
Monkey
Monkey
Prince.
Prince, yeah, I was like, oh, so if I ever run across that character, I'll know exactly what to write.
Right. Oh, hey, we
Thank you,
got Erda and
Lego.
Hominus. Yep. And well, since we last talked, and it was one of the things, as soon as it came out, I was asking you to come on, but you were like, sorry, dude, can't do interviews for a while.
Yeah,
And that was
yeah,
Flashpoint Beyond. Now, this
yeah.
zero issue was done just by Jeff Johns, but how did that come about getting involved in this?
So Tim Sheridan and I had we came up with an idea
Hmm.
that was gonna touch on the Flashpoint universe a little bit,
Hmm.
and it ended up being too similar to something like Loki when it came out.
Oh,
So we had to backtrack, and our editor at the time, Mike Cotton, was like, "We should get Jeff involved because it's
hmm,
kind of his universe." And so we ended up meeting Jeff, and it was weird, man. It's weird meeting somebody that you've read tons
yep.
of their stuff for ages.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, this is so crazy!" And he was super nice, and
Hmm.
we just had this incredible collaborative relationship. So we've been breaking stories and coming up with everything, and issue zero is so
Yep.
integral to what happens in the next 6 issues. And it's been really fun. It's been really fun to come
Yeah.
up with everything and talk about it and stuff.
Yeah, Jeff said in an interview it's pretty much it's made for those who love events. Is that kind of accurate?
That's right. Yeah, it's made for people that love events, but it's also like it's deep cut. It's deep cut DC stuff.
Yep. Oh yeah, I
And
mean this stuff at the end, the
yeah,
divine continuum. I can see
yeah.
what you mean about with the Loki thing a little bit, like he
Well, we the version we were going to do, and maybe we'll touch on it when the Loki. It's not exact because
right, right,
all this
obviously.
stuff kind of touches on the same, but
Oh,
yeah, we kind of moved aside. Yeah, Mime and Marionette. I think I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no.
okay, that's fair.
Things are in flux. Things are in flux.
Oh yeah, I mean, how did that go? Went from being meant to be like a bi-weekly to monthly. What happened there?
I mean, we're trying to get it right,
Hmm.
and when you see Zermanico's art on one of
Oh
these
yeah.
books, you'll really understand. I mean, he's like I said, I think I said this somewhere else. It was like I feel like sometimes when I write words, it just gets in the way of this really great art.
Oh, I bet. I
It's like
bet.
why are we just defacing this? This is so amazing. I don't
Right.
want to do anything.
Now, big question I want to ask is, and if you can't answer it, I understand.
Yeah.
Where did this fit alongside Joshua Williamson's Justice League Incarnate? Is this before, after? Given how things ended with Flashpoint Batman.
Uh, it takes place after.
Oh, then that goes with what I was theorizing Darkseid did.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I mean, that's that. I think it's known. Maybe I just spoiled it, but no.
Oh,
Yeah,
because yeah, it was never made very clear. I have looked it up. I have not made it. Like I've always had this idea, like, well, wait, we already know what Darkseid has done. Was Bruce and the Omega Sanction?
yeah. Well,
What's
listen.
her name?
Yeah. Issue one's gonna. Again, that's part of the mystery of the 6 books is starting to unravel. Like, how is Thomas here? Like, why
Right.
is he here? He shouldn't be here. I mean,
How
that's
was his
his
world
thing.
back?
Yeah. I mean, he's like, I fixed it. This should not be.
Hmm.
So
So yeah, but yeah, what's your and also you're working on Dark Crisis currently. Where you're having your Flash runs tying into it. You're
yeah.
doing.
So there's the Road to Dark Crisis, and then I do a 3-issue search for Barry Allen. And I
Hmm.
wish you guys could see what Avanke is
Oh,
drawing. It's typically for me, I get really zany and I have a lot of
mhm,
ideas, and I'm like, oh, this
right.
would be
Oh, I
really
know.
fun. So I'm hoping people will really dig it. And
Yep.
basically what happened was Josh said, these are the main points you need to hit.
Hmm.
And then outside of that, go nuts. And I'm like, great,
Right.
I'll go nuts.
Hmm.
So, I hit the points, and then
Right.
everything else is completely bananas.
Right. So, I take it, and then the main reason why Wally isn't getting affected is just because Joshua felt like let's not have him involved, or what? Do you know what led to him not being one of the ones killed off?
Well, Wally isn't with the Justice League proper generally
Right.
most of the time. I mean, I know some people write that occasionally, but
Hmm.
like the way I've always established it is like Wally's on the ground. He's being the superhero while there are like Barry's off.
Right.
Before this, Barry was off. Exploring the
That's what.
Omniverse, and the Justice League was doing their thing. And Wally's got responsibilities, man. He's got kids,
Hmm.
he's got a wife.
Yep.
What did somebody ask? If you could do any other DC book, oof, listen,
Oh.
I'm pitching a load. I would love to do Ted Cord, Blue Beetle in some
Oh
capacity.
yes. Especially
Um,
now that Jurgens finally revealed who Black Beetle was.
I know,
Seriously, been waiting on that for. I never thought he would get a chance to tell that one.
I know. Uh, uh, I would love to do a Roy Harper
Oh
series.
yes.
Ever
Um.
since I had him in the annual, I was like, oh, I
Oh,
could
that
write,
was so great.
I could
And
write this guy.
then Joshua brought him back.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yep. Now I guess also during Earth, War for Earth 3, I remember originally when the solicitations came out, I don't recall your name was originally stated to do the Flash issue, but afterwards it was.
yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
always meant to
so I
be?
mean,
Yeah.
it's weird because there's just been a lot of shuffling at DC, I think,
Hmm.
and we all know that about Warner Brothers changing
Oh,
hands.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so they had asked me to come in and collaborate on War for Earth 3 a long time ago,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, yeah, okay. And then I didn't hear anything, and then I kind of heard, oh, okay, somebody else is gonna write this issue. I was like, all right.
Right.
And then it was suddenly like, oh, never mind. You got to write it. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. And they were like, again, they were just like, all we need is this to happen. This
Yeah,
deal with
basically deal with the Earth 3 Flash or whatever. Johnny Quick.
Johnny Quick. Johnny Quick needed to steal the treadmill, and
Yep.
then other than that, you can tell it's very much a Flash book.
Yep,
You
it
know,
very much is.
I mean, other than finding out that Johnny Quick was trapped in the Speed Force as well, and that gave
Hmm.
him kind of like almost like precognition to know what's going on. And it was a really cool conceit, when Robbie
Yeah.
was explaining it about Amanda Waller's plan. I thought was really
Oh,
cool.
yeah, it's a
And
brilliant play by the end.
technically, it's over. So spoilers
Hmm.
for those that aren't reading. It's like Waller she's got her own Earth, and it is off the map. Like you can't get to it. You can't.
Exactly.
She's like, dude, everybody else has crisis, crisis, crisis. We're gonna make an Earth that no one can have crisis for. Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of the
Yeah.
Titans need love. Yeah, man. Listen, I have a
Hmm.
sweet tooth for some of the Titans. But this is the thing. I don't think they would ever give me anything like that because I would be like, oh, Roy Harper and Donna Troy need to be married. Like,
Oh!
I'd be making romances where nobody wants them.
Oh, trust me. Hey, I'm one of those who always wanted to pair Tim with Rose.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I get it. but I'm
Yep.
to me it was like Steph and Tim, and then I like
Oh,
Cassie.
I love that too, of course.
Yeah, no, we
Oh,
all had
I
our.
love this issue. This,
Oh, good. I'm glad.
yep, this is right up there was the stuff you did with Wally and his daughter. It's a similar
Yeah,
type of thing, where it's like, because really, when's the last time these two ever fully interacted outside of
yeah,
during the Teen Titans crossover with Deathstroke and everything?
yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I felt. I was I so when they created this version,
Wallace, yeah.
and and then they brought back Wally,
Hmm.
it all felt weird to me,
Hmm.
and instead of just like discarding a character, I really wanted to kind of like explore that character and like,
Hmm.
who is this person outside of this other version of Wally West, and like
Yep.
try
Another
to
cousin, yeah.
right, and try to bring a voice to it, and what does that mean in this new continuity that we're in. And so it was really fun. Like I found myself going like, the way I approached it is that Wally is definitely the Ferris Bueller to
Hmm. Oh, I got that vibe
Ace is
especially.
much more, the
This especially got me for that.
yeah.
That is felt just like, yeah, Bueller trying to get
Yeah,
oh, what's its
yeah.
friend's name? Um
It's why can't I think of his name either?
yeah.
It's his best friend, and I
Yeah,
can't.
his best friend, but yeah, trying to get him out, just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
God.
yeah. I don't know why my brain just shut down on that, but yeah, that's exactly kind of the vibe. And also, like, I have a couple of cousins that
Hmm.
totally get me into trouble. Like, they're the ones that are like, "Hey, let's go do this thing," and I'm like, "I don't know," and they're like, "Oh, shut up, come on, it'll be fun," and you do it, and you're just,
Cameron,
"Cameron, thank you,
Cameron.
Cameron, thank you." Yeah, and then I do it, and I'm like, that was fun, but also slightly dangerous. And so to me, that's a very cousin vibe. And
Yep.
so for cousins, it was super cool. It was also just trying to give, Ace, as I'm calling him, give him agency as a character and just responsibility, as like, hey, you're Kid Flash. This is what Kid Flash does. This is, I need help. It's also about
Exactly.
Wally talking about not being burned out and mental health, and just,
Hmm.
and really what kind of Wally's perspective on what being a speech or what being a Flash is.
Yep.
So I really like it. I really like the Flash family in a way, and I
Hmm.
always feel like I don't have enough time to write about them.
Right.
Like Bart is off with Young Justice right now, so I
Hmm.
can't I can't touch him yet. But
Right.
Liberty Bell, I really like, and Max Mercury, and all those characters that I
Oh yeah, Josh
really,
brought them back. Yeah.
yeah. But I love those characters, that they exist, that they're out there. I just don't, there's not enough time.
If you could be on any other book, what would you write or want to write? I think we
That's
just
what
had
we're
that.
talking about, the Blue Beetle, or I would
Oh,
love to
sorry,
be
sorry, sorry, sorry.
a Roy
I'm looking at
Harper.
the questions upside down. I'm looking at the questions upside down.
Oh no, it's all good.
Yep, but I gotta
I mean,
say,
yeah, I pitched like a bunch of books, you know.
yep, I gotta say, I love this bit here with the ice cream, showing that even with a speedster, you can get a brain
I
freeze.
know, I know. Fernando, who obviously I've worked, he's the first artist I ever worked with,
Hmm.
and he's just amazing. He's ridiculous, and he just goes the extra mile, and he keeps everything on track, and he makes sure that it looks good. There's an issue coming up after the
Hmm.
search for Barry Allen that is just lunatic, and he's doing such a good job. Ah, you're so kind. Look at
Oh,
famous
hey, I've been
neighbor.
loving it too. Actually, one thing I wanted to ask, you have the Spectre show up
Yeah.
during your Flash stuff, but given what happened to the Spectre and everything, and what's been going on and all that, where does this fit for the Spectre? Because I just saw, okay, spoilers for Justice League 75. He does show up in there too.
Yep. What can I tell you? I will give you this.
Hmm.
So, oh man, how much can I spoil? I don't want Josh yelling at me. So
Okay, okay, that's fair.
obviously, if you read Justice League 75, you'll see the Spectre,
Hmm.
and there are other characters.
Yep.
So you can you can intimate that. I was also like time and continuity in DC is very weird. Like
Right.
the reality is that the Gem World uh, story, I
Hmm.
think it spanned like 4 or 5 issues, and that's like 4 or 5
Yep.
months in our time. Like
Right.
in DC Comics time, it's really just a couple of days.
Very true. It, like I
Yeah.
said, I love 776.
It's one of my favorites. And
Yep. That's
I
that
was so
whole,
lucky. I was so
yeah,
lucky.
turn the page, flip it, do this. It's like taking that whole buy it as cover or we will die, but in
Yes.
every
No,
page.
that's exactly right, and that's kind of my vibe with the Flash. I'm kind of going back to kind of the Silver Age vibe.
Hmm.
That's the Flash that I really dig. Is that kind of like zany, all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get when you pick up the Flash, except
Yeah.
you're going to have a good time. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm, I'm, I'm not really focused on doing stuff that's really super dramatic.
Right.
Because there are a lot of books that do that, and this is
Mhm.
this is just a fun book. This is a really exciting adventure book. I do think there's going to be some drama that comes a little later next year, but I want it to be fun. I want it to be a book that anybody can read
Hmm.
and enjoy.
Yep.
What do we
And I
got?
thought the
Things
whole,
that
yeah.
makes the comic feel like post-crisis Wally. It seems like DC didn't like Wally. You write the Flash a legitimate fan. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, I was kind of like, I'm kind of blown away. Fans have been really very, very kind. And I just felt like, Wally been used as a pinata,
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
for
it's
whatever
like,
reason.
right. And as long as I didn't like hit the pinata or like kick the dog, then I'm
Mhm.
going to be okay. And I said that up
Exactly.
front. I was like, listen, as long as I'm writing Wally, he's going to have a lot of fun, and it's going to be about his his family, and it's going to
Yep.
be about the adventures, and it's going to be about exploring the DC universe. Like even in that Wallace issue,
Yep.
you're like Bialia and Scartaris and some
Flush
other,
man.
yeah, like some other corners of the universe that maybe people don't think about with DC.
Yep. Also, I gotta say, I did love the stuff you did with Heatwave for the 2 issues. It
Yeah,
felt like bringing it right back to that type of stuff that Jeff had done with the Rogues and all that. Because
yeah,
I gotta say, it does feel like the New 52 version of the Rogues. No offense to the guys who wrote them during that,
yeah.
but it felt like they wanted to change the characters for the sake of changing them, and then eventually it's like okay, but we're bringing back the old elements. Let's try and get back to that. And I felt with Heatwave, you really got that.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah. I think the rogues are really interesting, and it's hard though because as a writer, because people have a lot of expectation
Hmm.
for which version of the rogue they kind of like. And I think my job as a writer is just trying to figure out what my voice is for them,
Hmm.
or for whatever. And I generally, on my run, I've generally stayed away from a lot of Flash mainstays.
Hmm.
I generally stayed away from rogues and things like a Reverse Flash and stuff like that.
Right.
Um,
I think we talked about that when you were last here. You said you wanted to stay away from Reverse Flash for as long as possible. It's actually, it's Joshua dealt with him so with
yeah,
such
yeah.
finality.
I feel like everybody's done him to death. I mean, if I come up with something that's like an incredibly good hook, then
Hmm.
I'm gonna immediately go back on it. But right
Oh
now,
yeah.
I literally, I mean, like 6, 7 months ago, I turned in like, here's what I want to do for the next 25 issues, you
Hmm.
know, and I send it to my editors, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. So let me know if I can do it. And for the most part, they seem okay with it,
Hmm.
but we'll see.
I hope you can make it for the next 19 issues to get to 800. I really
Me
do.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
I had a pitch for 800, and I hope they go for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, because 775, even though I mean, like even though it wasn't a big anniversary, the fact that it was double sized and all that
Yeah,
was awesome.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I did not see it coming, bringing in Starbreaker of all people. And like
Again, like I
Starbreaker,
said, I'm just going through like finding old characters that people aren't using and having fun. Just like, oh, can I bring him back? Can I do that? Can I do this?
yep, and I
So,
just love how you're finding that perfect balance of Wally being this snarky goofball, like Spider Man. It's like the Spider Man balance
yeah,
of him being this goofball, but then knowing when to take it seriously. It's like when
right.
he's like, oh, like, hey, I'm the fastest man alive. How you doing?
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
a
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But how hard though is it to write a speedster without? Because people have always point out the Flash, especially once they got the Speed Force, have been some of the most broken characters. How do you find that blend of not, not making them stupid if they forget what they can do with their speed, but
Right.
at the same time make them be able to still remind us how awesome they are?
Yeah, it's. I mean, listen, that to me is the hardest part of the Flash. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, technically, the way I write him is, and I don't know if Wally. I think Wally kind of knows, but he doesn't want to fully accept. I think speedsters technically are probably the strongest heroes,
Oh yeah.
just from the law of physics, right? If force
Oh
equals
yeah.
mass times acceleration, and
Infinite mass punch.
right, right, yeah. So Mr. Terrific says it in one of the issues right before 776, I think, on 775. He's like, you don't even know it. You're more powerful than any. You could like destroy. You have the probability of destroying this Earth potentially. And
Right.
it's not just that; it's the fact that, like we found with Barry Allen, like with the
Mm-hmm.
Flashpoint, he could go back in time and change things.
Oh
They can
yeah.
go back, forward. They can travel now in the Speed Force. They can move. It's all that stuff is really powerful. That's why the fact that Wally is grounded with his family and grounded with his kids is
Mm-hmm.
so important. So for me, writing Wally is about, I think my version of Wally is definitely about him going on adventures and seeing new things and trying to help people and process things emotionally. But it's
Right.
it's it's really about new stuff. I mean, listen, this is my first time
Mm-hmm.
being a comic writer, so I'm having a blast being able to create stuff, and
Oh yeah.
they're letting me do it, which is crazy,
Oh, what about the idea of having Maxine, Baker, becoming good friends with the kids? I mean,
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
was.
I listen. I It's weird. In the DC universe, they've kind of aged up all their kid characters,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I want to keep Ira and Jay at a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
Maxine shows up, and I love her,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly I'm like, well, who else?
Who
Because
else are still kids?
yeah, and in my mind, like what would be a joy is to be able to do like like an 18-page Wally book and do like a
Mm-hmm.
4-page kids book, that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Again, you got
Because
so many ideas you want to do, and I would
oh
love to
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love, like I said, Jay getting his powers back from the surge that happened at the beginning of the arc that
Mm-hmm.
Wally got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that he can have his powers, and then obviously Ira has her powers, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have Maxine. Like I love them,
Yep.
and I love Maxine. Again, I obviously like precocious characters that kind of get
Yep.
people,
No one's touched her since Jeff Lemire's Animal Man run. Now that I think about
yeah,
it.
I know, yeah, and some of what I like is, and that was a pretty dark run.
Oh yeah, that was a dark ride.
Yeah, so there's a.
Wait, didn't she die at the end of that? I think.
I'm trying to remember honestly. I
Because
I
that
know
was
her
that was
brother
New
died.
52. That was New 52. No, that
Her
was the
brother,
brother dying.
the
The
brother
brother
died.
dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, again, I think there's tons of story there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just my way of weaseling into other corners of the DC universe.
And if you want, you could bring have Buddy show
Oh
up. No
yeah,
one's touching him.
I just wrote that they were that they were living in the same town, and I got this editor goes, they live in San Diego. I'm like, well, they moved. And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Hey, it's
And
been how long since anyone's touched them?
I'm like, okay, if I guess I can. I mean, they can move back. I just
Exactly, exactly. Hey, if anything, I would, with some snark, say to the other, well, that's your job to make sure the others know I moved them. I'm saying that with snark. I'm saying that with
no,
snark.
it's been really fun. They've given me a lot of leeway, and I just hope that people buy it, because if people
Oh
buy
yeah.
the book, then that's going to give me more ability to do this stuff.
Yeah, but which leads me to a point that I found out, especially when watching comics by Perch, is that unfortunately it feels like Flash, right up there with Action Comics, has been one of the more pirated comics. I mean,
Ah, really?
yeah, yeah, and it's heartbreaking to find out. It's like so many people now. Action Comics, I can understand. A lot of people got pushed away from Bendis.
Right.
There were some people who jumped over there in protest, but Philip Kennedy Johnson is killing it on there, and it feels
Yeah,
like so many people are just. It's
yeah.
like, oh, I'm reading it online. It's great. It's amazing. Why don't you buy it?
I know. I
But
know.
from what I
I
understand,
mean, and it's
Flash is
funny, especially with comics. It's like people buying it is such a huge thing because
exactly,
it's not that big as big of an industry as you think it is,
exactly,
and you know, 1,000 more copies of a book could be the reason it gets canceled or saved.
exactly.
It's
These
that
days,
simple.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if there was ever a crossover, like if you could do a Marvel DC crossover,
A
what
Marvel
would you
DC
want?
crossover.
Yeah,
Who would I want to do it with?
yeah.
Of anybody in the DC and anybody in
Anybody in the
Marvel?
DC and Marvel universe, Eddie Wood. Even if it doesn't make sense to have them team up.
Right. You're trying to kill me. That's the problem here. This is tough. This is tough. I mean, my head goes right to Spider-Man teaming up with anybody because I always loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Spidey and
hmm,
Wally, Spidey and Nightwing.
right. I mean, but I'm going to try to go because I feel like some of that stuff has been done. Spidey and Nightwing's not bad. No, it's you also want to do like in my brain. I also want to do the stuff like Nightwing and Daredevil. Like
Oh
it's like
yeah,
oh, Billy Club fight, or or
really good fight. Well, to
like
be fair, Death Battle proved that if they were the fight to the death, Nightwing would win.
right. Or you could do something like Lobo versus Hulk, like something, or
Oh,
Lobo versus Thor would be cool too.
well,
It's
we
like
already know about Lobo versus Wolverine, and unfortunately, that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth because of how that fight went.
I
Right
know, I
behind a
know.
bar table.
Oh man, yeah. No, listen, I agree with you. This person about Frog about the
The
price of
price,
comics. I hate it.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Oh
they're so
yeah.
expensive, and I just wish there. Like for me, like this is the thing.
Hmm.
I don't get free comic books. I mean,
Oh really?
I get my comics. I get a comps of my comics, but the
Right,
other
right.
comics that are going on, I don't get free comics. So I'm oops, oh
Uh-oh.
wow. Well, I'm on DC Infinite and Marvel Unlimited,
Hmm.
and those have been awesome
Oh yeah.
because
Although they've been great, they especially expanded so much with those.
yeah.
DC Infinite, especially.
Yeah, so that's been great. That's a great bang for your buck, especially if you like
Hmm.
to dig in the back issues and stuff like I do. And I
Oh
live
yeah.
in a small place, so even my comps are getting out of control. Like
Right.
I don't have room for anything right now. You know?
$40 for 7 books. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why I'm always becoming more and more like more bang for your buck. Focus on what brings you joy.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I mean, the thing is, if people really, I just want people to be able to, that's why I wish there was a trade out sooner. So
Hmm.
people, there's a lot of people that wait for trades to read,
Oh, I
and
used to. I used
yeah,
to. That's actually how I got started. I started as a wait for trade guy because I didn't have a local LCS. At least I
yeah,
didn't have ability to drive over there
yeah,
because my parents would handle that.
yeah,
Then eventually I still was doing trades for the longest time, but what got me finally going into the comic book weekly was 52.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I went in there every week to get it, and then I started like, ooh, okay, ooh,
yeah. It was a
okay.
great gimmick. I was spending so much money that I did not have at that moment
Oh
on
yeah.
comic books. It was a great like countdown, and like all that stuff was great. I mean, in terms of
Hmm.
like it got me buying.
Hmm.
But boy, they got expensive. Remember, it was like hold the line at a dollar
Oh,
ninety nine,
yeah.
whatever.
I give
You
them
know,
props for trying that. They tried.
I
They
know,
tried their hardest, and they even
and it's
said, "If
hard
we."
because it used to be the distribution network. Like, I used to get when I was a kid, I'd get my comics at a liquor store or 7-Eleven
Hmm.
or
Oh,
whatever
yep.
on the spinner rack, and then it moved to kind of like bookstores, but no one has bookstores anymore.
Nope.
So
And those that do, it's just the trades, not even the
yeah,
regular issues. If it's the regular issues, you'd be lucky if you give them the
yeah,
magazine racks.
and I wish they would promote their DC Infinite and Marvel Unlimited a little
Oh yeah.
more because I
Put it at
really
the
do
end of the
think
movies. Put it at
I
the end
do
of the
think
movies.
yeah. I do think it's really cool. Hold the line, yeah, good times.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I remember I met Dan Didio only like a
Hmm.
couple times, and he's always
Hmm.
super nice to me. And he's the one
Yep.
who I was on a list and brought me in with a bunch of
Hmm.
other animation writers. Um, and I remember, everybody has an opinion,
Right.
but But now that he's gone, I was also like, man, but that guy was promoting the heck out of DC.
Exactly.
You
He
know,
promoted stuff. He would make sure certain creators got work if they needed it. It's like, hey, are you doing anything? We can make a book. For,
well, I at Comic Con, I was always at his like the review of all the comics coming out. I
mm-hmm.
still have my Court of Owls mask they had
Oh yeah, that
on the
mask.
Comic Con, and I'm sitting there in the audience like, oh, I hope somebody likes my
Wearing
comic.
that mask. Yep. Oh boy, and I just say was did he have issues? Oh, most certainly. But the
But,
guy kept the trains on time if you want to
yeah,
go with the phrase.
yeah. Do I have a favorite DC writer from back in the day? I have a lot.
Oh, I got so many.
So for me, like there are a lot. It's like there are a lot of
Mark Waid for
uh,
one.
Mark Waid's amazing. I found out he didn't live far from me, and we've had lunch, and I'm like, oh, you're the greatest.
Oh, and he's
Uh,
back he's back at DC now. I mean, granted, he's
yeah,
doing a book that's set in the
yeah,
past.
yeah. So Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis,
Oh yeah.
their JLI run was like the biggest thing in the world to me.
What? Oh, buy this book or we won't shoot this
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. And then it's weird because Ditko, I talk about Ditko, Blue Beetle was a big impact for me as well, growing up. And then I really like Chuck Dixon's, like when he started moving into the Bat group. And it was like all those Bat books at the same time. It was like he was spearheading Birds of Prey, and
Oh yeah.
it was like Batman, Bruce Wayne, Fugitive, and No Man's Land, and Nightwing, and Robin. So it was like Nightwing and Robin were awesome because they were like dovetailing into each other, and I was like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, this is so good. And then when they did the Cassie Batgirl was great.
Yep.
So like
that whole 90s and 2000s era was so amazing, and
amazing.
and when people always complain about the 90s comics, I'm like, well, DC was killing it with the stories. Marvel was unfortunately stuck because of who owned them, having to let's just try and go for the cater to these the people who wanted just to buy the comics to sell them,
right?
The speculators,
right? I mean, it was funny because even though I would read Batman, but like I was super obsessed with Nightwing and Robin.
yes,
I thought those were the coolest books. Tim and
you want to know about a crazy ship? Sorry, you want to know about a crazy ship? I've always loved Robin and Jubilee from the Marvel vs. DC.
No, because they did that in the crossover.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, but unfortunately they had to break it up because, well, obviously it was never going to work, but also because in his own story, Tim already had a girlfriend, not Stephanie, the other girl.
In Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah.
Like they had Peter Parker date Kitty Pryde for a little bit.
Yeah,
and
that was clever.
I like that too.
I know, and I love how their Spider-Woman is a female clone of Peter. I love when they actually did.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I just love crazy ships like that and all that. JT Kroll tried to pair up Rose with Connor Kent, and I remember talking to him saying, "Oh well, everyone wants to pair him up with Cassie because it's Wonder Girl. They think Superman, Wonder Woman."
Yep.
But he always saw Rose as being more personality-wise Connor's Lois, and I'm like, I don't agree with it, but I see where you're coming from with it. It's one of those type of things where, but then he wrapped up at 100, only did a few things, and I wish JT would come back. I miss his stuff.
Yeah. I love all that stuff. I mean, there are some really great. I mean, people have a lot of opinions about everything, but there's some really killer comics coming out.
Definitely. So, anything you want to tease about from what you know, working with and everything about what's going on with Dark Crisis? Like anything you want to tease?
I'll tease all the things. Let's see. So we got Search for Barry Allen. That's going to happen not next month, but the months after that.
Right.
Is, like I said,
I can't wait.
Bananas. And then we've got the Road to Dark Crisis, which I have a small thing in, which is really fun. We're going to be exploring the mystery of why Linda has powers.
I was wondering about that. I was like, what the?
And then we've got all of Flashpoint Beyond, which I'm excited for people to see. The art is amazing. Again, another mystery that kind of unfolds over, monthly. And then I've got, I helped write the story for a Blue Beetle animated short that's coming out on the Constantine House of Mystery. Yes. And I've got another movie that's being announced this year, which I'm very excited about. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, and I've got some other things happening that I'm super excited, but I can't say anything. Uh,
Can you give a tease of this movie? Is it animated or
it's animated, yeah,
is
yeah,
it animated? All right, that say no more then. But
yeah, yeah.
so yeah.
I really appreciate the
I'm trying to think about what
recommendation.
else we can bring up, but
Well, I'm
actually,
gonna
no.
I'm gonna
One thing, I know you're not involved with it, but given how you did the Teen Titans Go crossover, how
yeah.
does it feel when you see another movie coming up that's the Teen Titans Go crossing over DC superhero girls that show?
Oh
It's
man,
like
it's I mean, listen, that stuff's awesome. That Teen Titans Go is just a franchise that can go on forever in so many different ways. Again,
400 episodes are coming
yeah.
up on.
I mean, listen, I was at a comic book store and they said, I wish somebody would do a Teen Titans Go comic book.
Hmm. Oh, geez,
I
that would.
like that would be huge. For Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, I really came in
Hmm.
to just do some punch ups and some plot rewrite stuff, and so it was really great to be able to have done anything with that
Right.
franchise. It's so funny, and it's such a
It's so funny because that's started up with such heat. I mean, I get why, and
yeah.
if I recall right, even before the movie, most of the creators involved said it was quantity over quality at that
Well,
point.
it's such a funny thing because it's like I am that nerd. I
Oh,
am
we
I am
didn't
that.
ask about Gold Beetle. Oh,
Okay,
how
well,
can I
we'll
forget
ask.
about her?
Okay, so real fast. So with the animated stuff, it's funny because I remember when they did uh, Batman Brave and the Bold when they showed the
Hmm.
preview, and I was annoyed. I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you
yeah,
watch it, and you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like just as a fan, I think our immediate reaction is, I hate this, and then
yeah.
you're
Yep.
like, oh, that's pretty good. And I think Teen Titans Go that was the same way because Teen Titans was such a good series to me.
Right.
It was really hard to go in like such a funny direction, but once you get it, once you
Once you
understand it,
get
it's
it,
like,
and I
oh,
think once
there's
they
this
reach
thing.
that balance, I think it's because
There
you
you
had
go.
so many episodes coming out
Yeah,
fast,
yeah,
people didn't know what to make of it. Then you also had stuff like Pop Up Girls 2016 and then Thundercats Roar.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's threw people under a hundred today. But now it seems
yeah,
ever since the movie, it's gotten much more positive
yeah,
receptions to it.
yeah. I think so. So Gold Beetle,
We can see more
she,
of her.
oh, she's coming back, but when she comes back,
Mhm.
I can already see the CBR articles.
Oh no! Oh no!
No, it's not. Oh no, I think it's
Oh.
gonna be. In my mind, it's the greatest thing ever because I love her so much, and I want to with her, like the people that I've helped create, like
Mhm.
don't want to I just don't want to do it in a way where I just throw them out every episode or every issue
Right.
and make people sick of them. I really want them to be
Mhm.
kind of critical.
Right.
Um,
You
but
don't
yeah,
want a Batman who laughs at where people eventually got a point where they're like, love the guy, but can we pone it back?
again, it's like because this is a monthly flash book, it's like I have all these plans. They just take a while.
Right. Oh yeah, you have a couple issue arcs, but it's like, okay, but the next plan, oh, that's another year away.
Young Justice needs to bring back Wally. So I got the pleasure of writing like one episode of Young Justice with my
Oh,
mentor Jim Krieg, and
nice.
Greg Weisman and Brandon. It's really their show.
Hmm.
But I remember, I mean, honestly, I was like, when are you gonna bring back Wally, man? Like
Hmm.
I was like, how could you do the fans this dirty, man? Like,
Hey, there's a bunch of ways you can bring it back.
oh sure, but listen, it's like we all want things, but sometimes the wanting is better. You know what I
Especially when you,
mean? Like
especially when you have a world that, yeah,
I don't know anything going on in Young Justice, FYI. Like after,
well, it's on hold again now.
just because it was like pandemic, I haven't hung out with those guys. I don't know what's going on, but
Right.
I remember when because I love Buffy and Angel, right? And
Hmm.
in Angel, there's this moment where Winifred Burkle, who I love, uh,
Hmm.
gets with Wesley Wyndham Price, and then
Hmm.
immediately she coughs up blood because she's possessed by this demon that she
Oh,
ends up dying. And I was like, "This is terrible!" But now we're like 20 years later, and I'm like, "Man, that was so good!" Like,
yeah. Those
so I don't
knee-jerk
know.
reactions you get from people. And the funny thing is, I always want to say this. You see people who complain about stuff that goes on, but it's like, yeah, how would you I mean, thank God we didn't have the internet,
Yeah,
Twitter. Hey, Bianca. I am good thing that we didn't have the internet and all this
yeah,
stuff back then because people would be holding on to these hatreds much longer. Used to be like,
oh
hey,
yeah,
oh, I hate this. Who else agrees with me? Oh, right.
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, but it
Well, it's
ends up.
not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. And Greg and Brandon are doing such a fantastic job
Hmm.
on Justice. It's like, why would you like let them tell their story? And I'm sure it's going to surprise us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although, like I say, I'm hoping people. One last thing I want to bring up, and funny you mentioned Brandon. I'm really hoping we've reached a point now where they stink of that future state story. How what was done to Wally is now gone, because there were still so many people saying like, I don't want to touch it. They're going to lead into the future state stuff. It's like, no, guys, Jeremy had nothing to do with it.
No, that's literally true. Like I was like, yeah, we're not doing any of that.
Yeah,
And I feel bad because my friend Tim, he was like the only book actually dealing with the future state stuff.
that to a degree, fear state, but that went in a different direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, with my stuff, I was like, nope.
Nope. And I don't, even though technically that just means his stuff, that stuff happened with what Tim's tapping into, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's set in stone.
Well, I mean, that was the whole story. It was like trying to
Hmm.
stop the future state from happening in a way. So
Exactly. So, but I mean, again, I get it. Brandon was probably given, he was probably just given, tasked to do that story. It
yeah,
was like,
probably. Yeah, I haven't even talked to him about it, but I love
yeah,
Brandon. He's one of the smartest people I know,
yeah.
and he's an incredible storyteller, incredible writer. So
Hmm.
he did the. If you've never seen it, it was the Choose Your Own Adventure, basically Batman DVD
Oh, oh,
with,
yes, yes, yes,
with
yes,
Jason
yes.
Todd. And
I love that.
yeah, he tested it on me and my friend Jim, and it was like I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
kept I kept thinking I was making the right decision that was going to not
It
cause
blew up
death
in your
and just sound
face.
good.
Oh,
Thank you so much for saying
yeah.
that. I really appreciate it. I'm having a lot of fun. I really am having a lot of fun on the Flash. I'm grateful and also
Hmm.
totally scared they're going to call me up and being like, "All right, you're done." You know,
Hey,
5G inverted. You like that?
yep. Oh, I love that. I did love that. And,
When Jeff showed us that on the script, I was like, "Oh
oh
my
yeah, that was the other
god!"
thing. Is the chalkboard. Did you talk to Jeff about anything? Okay, I
Yeah,
know
we
Jeff
talked about
usually.
all of it. We talked all about it. This is
Yep.
all we
Well,
we.
I was gonna say that when it comes to the chalkboard, I know
Oh,
usually a lot of time when Jeff used to do it because he had direct knowledge of what was coming.
yeah, yeah. He probably still does.
Right, right. I'm just saying stuff like why is Deathstroke not acting like Deathstroke? I'm
Right.
like, that's making me question the Shadow War stuff now. I'm like,
You know, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think Jeff's more integrally involved with that stuff because when we got the script and I started reading that stuff, I'm just a fanboy, so I'm sitting there
mhm.
going like, what does this mean?
Yeah, especially because the moment it came out was right when Shadow War started. I'm like, and then once you find out he's involved in Dark Crisis, I'm like,
I know. I think Jeff is telling like a long 40-year story. That's my viewpoint. So
oh, I hope he's able to do. I mean, his Geiger stuff, loving it.
very cool. It's very cool.
Oh boy, if you had a chance to help him out with anything on Geiger, would you jump over there?
Oh, I would do anything. Listen, I'm at the stage where I would do anything. So
Mhm.
would you ever
All
want to
right,
work with Andrew? Of course I would. I would go
great.
bananas.
Oh, would you ever
Uh,
want to work with Dan Jurgens
yeah,
on the Justice League Beyond?
I
Yeah.
like I said, I am. You can ask me to do the Nort, one shot. I'd be like, yeah, Nort, let's do it, baby. Like,
Yep. Yep.
I am
Right.
all about like I spent so long wanting, reading comics and loving comics and thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
man, maybe someday I'll be able to do comics. And then when I started writing movies and television, I still was always trying to figure out how to get into comics. And
Mm-hmm.
so the fact that they let me write comics, but also the fact that everybody's been so kind, which fandom,
Oh yeah.
it could not be kind. It's made it
Mm-hmm.
such a joy. It really has. So I really want to thank
Last
you and
question before
everybody. Yeah,
last question before we wrap up is
yeah.
do you have any Black Label stories in your head? Like anything that would fit in Black Label?
I
Or are you not into that type of story?
it's like I have a story that I think would be quote unquote kind of prestigey, like
Mm-hmm.
something, but I don't think it's as dark. I have dark stuff, but it's not stuff that I kind of want to do in the DC universe. It's my
Oh,
own stuff.
that's
Yeah,
fair. That is
yeah.
fair. All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much.
Thank
Yep.
you,
Yep.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much for coming on board. It was great to have you
Absolutely.
again. And hey, maybe we could have you on again in the next 6 months.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Robert, and thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it.
Yep. And guys, thank you guys for joining in. Hey, if you guys wanted to, since and who came over here from Tristan's stream, hope to see you back on the next one. And
Awesome.
we'll see you all later. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.